Welcome to this third WoTA webinar. Today's topic is CRM, Customer Relationship Management. 42 members in 10 different countries have registered as participants today. Welcome to you all. I think this is kind of a record. It might be that you, as I do, think this topic is particularly interesting. I hope you will find the next 1.5 hours worth investing with us. My name is Johanna Aberg, and I have been asked to host this webinar. I'm also one of the speakers, as I will tell you how we work with CRM in my company, ATG. As you read in the invitation, it is more important than ever to know our customers. They expect that from us. They expect not only that, but they also expect us to be relevant in our communication to them. In order to be successful, you need data as well as a well-defined strategy. One size fits all is not longer the truth. The betting industry may not be in the very front of this development, but we can learn from each other and we can learn from other businesses. And that is the very purpose of today. First out, we will listen to Professor Daniel Chong from Hong Kong University. He will set the scene by establishing a common platform and understanding of the CRM subject. He will also share with us some self-experienced cases. With more than 30 years of experience working with brands like Nike, Sanofi, Clarin, Bank of China, Ralph Lauren, and not the least, Hong Kong Jockey Club, Daniel has a lot of interesting stuff to share with us. The second speaker of today is myself. I work as a head of marketing at a Swedish trotting company called ATG. I will share with you how my company works with CRM to be successful in earning the trust and relationship with our customers. I have 25 years of working experience from different industries, such as travel industry, telecom, and electricity. Always working with marketing in general and CRM in particular. The third speaker of today is actually two speakers from the French trotting company PMU. Jean-Baptiste Chesbach and Emmanuel Malaquais-Doublé will share with us their journey from the last year, going from physical sales to also include a large number of digital sales. In France, this is not very easy to perform, but they will share with us what they did to be successful. Jean-Baptiste Chesbach worked as a customer and CRM manager at PMU. He has also experience from outside the betting industry. He's been working with the great grocery store Carrefour for many years. Emmanuel Malaquais-Doublé is the Chief Marketing, E-commerce and International Officer of PMU. In 2018, she joined PMU as a Chief Financial Officer. A year later, she became Chief Marketing and Customer Officer and expanded her scope to e-commerce and international activities in February 2021. Emmanuel Malaquais-Doublé has also worked outside the betting industry. For 6 years, she's been with McKinsey and worked with different mass distribution and retail sectors, such as luxury and clothing. After the 3 presentations, we will have a panel discussion. We ask you to wait with your questions until then, but you can send your questions through the Q&A during the presentations, and we will do our best to answer them together. A survey monkey will be made available after the event for you to continue to ask your questions to us panelists. You will also get all the presentations accessible in a few days. Before we started, I will inform you that this webinar is going to be recorded and the video will be available in a few days. But now I won't keep you waiting any longer, so I will pass on the word to Professor Daniel Chang from Hong Kong University. Please enter the stage, Daniel.
Okay, thank you, Johanna, for your really kind introduction. I'm really glad to see you all today because under the COVID-19, with a limitation of traveling, so I'm really happy still can conduct the webinar for all of you. Today, my topic will be about customer relationship management, about the frameworks and applications. Because many of you here are from different industries and also from different, sectors. So I want the first part for my part, I want to have develop a common understanding about the definition of CRM, so that we have a better knowledge about what it is. And then we look at some examples, the frameworks of CRM. But I won't use too academic aspect to look at that, but rather we use a little bit more like the practical side. And then followed by the another two speakers about the practical application of CRM in different industries. Okay, so I'll try to kick off now. For when you think about the changes in the past 10 years, especially the past 5 years, there's a really big influence to many businesses. The first thing is globalization is something really important that we find that nowadays, even though we don't want to change, but our peers actually change. If our competitors are not doing anything, but other competitors in other regions, they may come to attack your territory in your country or in your target market. That's why with the internet and the digital device that become more complicated. I think all of you agree that these 5 to 10 years, the changes actually is much more than the previous 20 years and when add together. Another really important thing is the technology changes, like the fintech, the big data, machine learning. You have thousands of data, tons of data that you can connect. And especially, as I mentioned, under globalization, you have so many sources, so many data. Compared with your competitors, you need to really understand the competition is really serious nowadays. Even though you don't want to change, but you don't have a chance to say no, just depending on which industry you belong to. If you belong to some industry like media or entertainment, you probably need to change earlier. If you belong to finance industry, you also can't change, even though your industry is really competitive. You need to focus in fintech, blockchain, all this kind of thing. But even when you work in some industry like the betting industry, just like I've been working with Hong Kong Jockey Club before, we also think about how digital transformation and how CRM, all this kind of thing can affect how they can serve their customer better. Because in the betting industry, sometimes we don't need to think about too advanced, but still, now we need to think about what kind of things we can enhance the customer experience. And that's all about we want to talk about today. And the first thing is about the definition of CRM. For many of you who work in marketing or sales or in customer support, these functions, you probably have heard about CRM. CRM is not a really new term. It's a term already exists some years ago, but just become more and more important in the past 5 to 10 years because of the existence of data. CRM in general, if we talk about it, is more like it's a kind of process. The process may include some system and some tools or some procedure to help you to manage your customer better with each interaction. And in general, you have to use the data you connect from different interaction points to apply and in some analysis and try to do some insight, tracking, etc., etc. And the data connection can be really broad, including you can connect the data from customer call, from website, from email, live chat, social media, search engine. You have tons of data. Just 30 years ago, when we talk about CRM, it's more like a lot of internal data, like the customer transaction, the customer demographic, all this kind of thing. But now we have so many data, and not only within our company, but even with our partner on the website, in the shop, and through all the channels you can see. There's much more complicated than before, but at the same time, it also gives you more data, more insights to know about your target audience. When you know more about them, it's not only good for you to do the analysis, but also help you to develop some insight to help you to predict their behavior. So that when in the future you decide to use some strategy, you probably don't need to wait until you do the strategy, but you can actually predict what will happen if I have this kind of strategy, maybe pricing, maybe promotion, maybe social media, etc. So that we can see which one is better to stimulate sales and which one is better to retain your customer to make them more loyal to your firm. So that's why CRM is all about, as a conclusion, how to connect the data with all interaction channel with your customer to do analysis and to do the prediction to enhance customer satisfaction. So this is something about CRM, and we need to align our understanding before we proceed. And for the follow-up CRM, as I mentioned, that there are so many data. Just like I've been working as a business consultant for many companies. These few years, the data they connect is much more than before. Some example is in the past when we have a call center, you do have a conversation with your customers, with your customer support representative. In the past, there's more like is a voice conversation. Maybe you record as some backup to support the future use. But in general, all this kind of thing is only recorded down in voice. And if you really want to have some insight, either you need to ask your customer service representative to transcribe them into some wording, or you ask them to input something while they talk to their customers. So if they don't do anything properly, or if they miss something, the management or the marketing head, they will miss some important point from the customer. It all depending on how much the CS people participate or involve or commit to input the data. But nowadays, I think many of you know about that we have the voice to text recognition. Just like in the past, we don't have it. And that's why we require a lot of manual thing. But now with the voice to text, actually you can generate a lot of insight because we will know which words the customer mentioned the most, which kind of thing they complain the most. And we also have all the data of where the customer are, what kind of topic they talk about. So you can see just one really simple example. You can see the voice to text recognition will already help a lot of additional data you connect. Not even count the website. You have something we call the social monitoring. We search, we check all the people talk about in social media, whether they say the good thing and the bad thing about your company and the product. And we also have something called the search checking. We check about what the people search, how they search thing, and what kind of thing they like to search for the internet in different kind of search engine. You know all these kind of thing. And even when you have some more thing like the email, etc. So you have so many data connected in different time point and from all the channels, and that become really complicated. And that's why you need to have a really comprehensive data analytics platform for you to store all the data in. At the same time, the system should be good enough. And a lot of the system nowadays is actually cloud-based for better, management and storage. And you have the data, we call the data scientists or those business analytics people will help you to try to analyze the data, generate some insight and recommend for business decision. So this is more the flow from connecting the data or the tools or the technique to we have a platform, and then you have the people using some tools to manage the data and to generate some insight. So it's not all technical, but you still need to know there's some kind of people, process, procedure, all this kind of thing. And when we talk about a little bit more about the core component of CRM, we have a really important thing is the customer-centric. Customer-centric is more like you need to understand your customer from 360 degrees. That means all around. In the past, when we talk about advertising, we say that we want to understand customer from all around. But now when we talk about CRM, we also want to know customer about 360 degrees, where they reach us, how frequent they interact with us, what about the last transaction they do with us, what kind of things they like, they don't like. In the past, it's not easy to get all this information, but now it's possible because we have all those devices, all those sensors, interaction channel, internet, long internet, big data, etc. So this is something we need to remember. The really core component of CRM, one of it is customer-centric, the business strategy. Whenever you do, whatever you do should be customer-focused based on what you know about them. And the second thing about CRM is improve the operational excellence. In general, after you deploy CRM, if you do properly, your sales team may have a better qualification process to understand which customer is good or bad. They know how to screen the customer, and also they know when to reach them, when to talk to them, and what to talk to them, what to say to them, at what time, etc., etc. So with all the data on hand, we give the salespeople a much better, system or tool to help them to maximize the performance when they're trying to talk to their customers or trying to get or enhance the sales or retain the loyalty of the customer. So this is something we get based on the data and the customer-centric thing. Marketing automation is saying that the more you know about your customer, the more you actually know about what they want. And for marketing, you actually know which channel is better, which social media is better, when we do the promotion is better, which marketing is more for awareness, which marketing campaign is better for sales, and which marketing campaign maybe generate customer loyalty, etc., etc. And you have all the data connect based on the search engine, based on the social monitoring, offline, online, as I just mentioned on the previous slide. And then service automation, the same, just like when the customer service support, you need to provide some feedback, response to the customer. You have all the channel, you have all the data, you know when to reply to them, and in what tone, what manner. So this is something, when you deploy CRM, you actually make your operational, the day-to-day operation become much better. And the last thing is the business analytics platform. This is something also important. For most people who deploy CRM, they think CRM is purely like technical platform. But this, of course, is not completely wrong, but it's also not completely correct. you do need a lot of tools. I will just mention later about all the possible tools we will have, and the speaker later will also mention about that. But this is only the technical part. Without customer-centric, without sales force automation, marketing thinking, service orientated, it's no meaning to have all this platform. The platform is more just a tool for you to connect, integrate, compile, and do analytics and generate insight. But still, you need that thing. It's some system and something you need to include in the CRM. In general, for CRM, there's so many objectives, so we just really briefly talk about it. When you do CRM, the really good thing that because you have so many channels, you connect a lot of data, you know your customer much better. This must be really important point. The second thing is multi-channel integration. You can integrate all the channels to know which channel to reach them. They can contact you through the phone, and then you reply them through the email and talk about the good thing and the bad thing on social media and share the thing in YouTube. So you have multiple channels. You also enhance the ability to target profitable customers. One really important part of CRM is to segment your customer, to know which kind of customer exists according to the description of them. And then we can categorize them into different segments. For some customer, their preference may be like this. You need to give them this support. Another customer, another kind of customer, they need some other thing. Maybe you need to provide another kind of support to fulfill what they need. So CRM is really good to do marketing segmentation. With data, pay a while, you can do so many things. And responsive to customer become much quicker because you have so many channels. And we have the data. Just look at the data and real time through the cloud, you can actually make some decision and to make some judgment to reply to them or to do some changes to respond to their need. And then CRM is actually down to one-to-one. That means you can do personalized service. Just like Amazon is one example that they do really good CRM. Even Netflix that we are thinking about, they can do really down to individual preference, individual customer, what they need, provide recommendation, etc. And that's why customization is something we talk about nowadays. Down to individual recommend them something, just they like, only they like, and the response normally will be much better. And also the customer experience will be enhanced. And then of course, sales and customer support, both things can also be enhanced. This is the final result with CRM. And the most important thing you can find in CRM, the conclusion is to achieve comparative customer profiling. That means I need to connect as much information from different customers as possible, and then do some profiling to know who they are, what they like, what about the behavior from time to time. And that's why under CRM, we have the two really important models I just want to mention. Of course, in CRM, there can be tons of models, academic models that you can find in the university or when you study master or even PhD degree. But there are only some that are really useful. And here I will point out two that I think some of you may know about, but I still want to talk about it briefly so that it can be something you understand the core concept of CRM. In CRM, there's two things we really focus and always emphasize. The first one is how to divide your customer into different segments. Okay, this is really important, called the segmentation strategy, the grouping. And the other thing is to understand what they think, how they make judgment, how they make decision. Okay, so the first thing is segmentation. In general, you can use geographic, location, city, zip code, etc. Demographic, age, gender, income. Psychographic, the behavior. They're looking for, something like stylish or they're with something like the personality is more aggressive. This is something like psychographic. Behavior means they're how frequent they buy something, how loyal they're towards certain thing, and how brand loyal they're to certain company, etc. So with these four kind of, segmentation variables, and the details is actually here. You can actually have a look later when you have the slide. You'll find that there's so many things you can know about your customer. And the more you know about it, the more longer duration you know about it, the better you know about your customer. And that means you can actually segment your customer according to the behavior, what they do in your company, where they're coming from, and what about the gender, what about the income, and what they like, what they don't like. Under certain promotion, what about the response? And the more you know about that, you can group customers according to segments, and then you can develop the best packaging in terms of the product, the pricing, how to reach them, how to promote to them in the best approach. So segmentation is always based on data, and it's a really important part under CRM, now and before. And then for the second really important model is called the customer decision-making process. And this is also really important. Think about if you really want to get sales, the first thing you need to know about is what? How your customer and why your customer have a need about your product or your service. So you need to know why they have the need and how to trigger their need. So some example is you can use advertisement to trigger them, or you can use some celebrity or KOL to trigger their need. And you can think about how to trigger the need to make the need recognition become larger. When more people have the need, they will search. They will search about where I can get that thing, or where I can buy, or where I can do that thing. They will do a lot of information search. But you need to know about online, offline, how to facilitate them to find your information, maybe website, maybe promotion, etc. Evaluation, you need to tell them really straightforward, really precisely why I'm better than other people, why you should choose my service or product. Everybody, everyone, the thinking process is not the same. That's why you need to segment them to know better about their decision making, to know better about their background so that you know how to judge certain criteria. Some people may choose online channel, really important because for convenience. Some people choose offline channel because they are more traditional. Or some people actually choose the payment, maybe Visa card. Or some people choose the payment, maybe other methods. So you need to think about when they try to select service or product, what criteria they look at and how important they look at each criteria. And through data analysis, you actually can get a lot of insight on that. And then the purchase decision to after purchase behavior, what they talk about and which channel they normally will talk about those kind of things. You better go to monitor to check what they say. And if some customer complain under digital age, we all know about within 1 hour, you need to reply. After 1 hour, the news or the bad word of mouth will spread out really quickly and it's too slow to stop it. So that's why when you look at this kind of model, your customer actually give you all the information based on the CRM, and you can understand much better for each step, what they do, how they find you, what they use to choose to pick your service. And when you have all the data, you actually can make the future strategy to enhance each item much better than before. And I want to do a really interesting case before I finish my part. Ginza is interesting company because I work closely with them when they come from Japan to Hong Kong. This company, why I choose it, because it's a really traditional Japanese company. As many of you know about Japanese company is those kind of really, they don't want to change sometimes and they like to keep the tradition. And normally Japanese company is not really good to apply technology sometimes in digital transformation. But Ginza is one example I want to say, even this kind of company, they still can do really well in digital transformation in marketing and customer support. So that's why I chose this case. So to give you a bit background about this company, Ginza is a really reputable luxury cafe in Japan after World War II. Actually, it's the first one who launched the cafe after World War II in Japan. Okay, and they have the headquarters in Ginza. They not only have a luxury coffee shop, they also sell biscuit. Okay, handmade biscuit. They back to about 60 years ago. And if you've been to Japan, you probably may visit them in Ginza. And you'll find that when you go inside, is a bit traditional. Really have the kind of traditional US kind, the style cafe they back to World War II that time. And you can see that this is the layout. And they have several shops, one also in Aoyama, but you'll find the design is a bit more younger because it's managed by the second generation. And this company, they have a lot of products, not only the luxury cafe, but also biscuit. I will try to explain a bit about the product because I will use it again later when we talk about analytics. The first thing, they have some signature product called leaf pie, really, really delicious, handmade, and they have a 128 kind of layers, so the texture is really good. Victoria is another really successful product. The people like it because they have the jam, really crispy, the texture, and a really really strong cheese taste inside. And then they have the gift box ENF. There are so many gift boxes. I just want to demonstrate the 2-pack ENF here, normally for gift giving. Then they actually launched in Hong Kong. It's the first shop outside Japan, I mean, in the history. And then they launched in Hong Kong in Wan Chai. If some of you have been to Hong Kong before, and you'll find the shop is really like Japanese style. Okay, really typical thing. And the guy is also from Japan. And this company in Hong Kong, they do a lot of promotion. It's really successful because this lady is Carrie Lam, is a Hong Kong chief executive now. And she also go to this shop to buy the biscuit to fans for the people who support support her. And you can also see Abe-san. Abe-san also is a really, a loyal customer to this company. Then you can see this company is really traditional, luxury cafe, just cookies, target the typical businessman, etc. But how can we enhance the service? Because in Japan, they don't use business analytics because they get used to the old management. But in Hong Kong, because I'm helping them to, as a JV partner, I'm the JV partner in Hong Kong. So I need to implement digital transformation. I need to implement CRM to make it more competitive in the Hong Kong market. And what we do is, remember we talk about the consumer behavior. You need to understand consumer behavior, how they have the need, how we can trigger them the need. And after they have the need, what they evaluate, how they search information to find us. And then they will buy, and all the information will store in the cloud-based CRM. And then we have a data analytics platform, one really important part of CRM. And then we will do real-time business decision. That means we are not doing analysis every week or every month. We actually do it real-time, depending on demand. So let's say, for example, if we do a social media promotion, digital in Facebook, or we do an offline promotion, maybe a really big promotion discount for some festival in Hong Kong, we actually will check during that time whether the sales become more. And we'll also check which product type is better and which shop is better. And we also even check which salesman actually perform better under certain kind of promotion. So that's why we can actually monitor even the weather, even other factors to correlate with the sales. But of course, you need to have the tools to connect the data. So the fundamental thing, you need to have the data analytics platform and the tools, and to connect the data through all the channel. The channel can be offline and online, and then you correlate the thing. And what to me, the really important thing is I need to know about the sales staff performance, because sales staff is really important in servicing industry, especially for retail. I need to make sure that their performance is good or bad based on the data. Okay, customer satisfaction and the sales. Pricing, which kind of pricing, discount, promotion pricing, I want to see the event. Channel, which channel, online, offline, sales, shop, etc. And these are the basic things I want to look at. But promotion is also really important, including social media. Search monitoring, as I mentioned before, we look at what the people search, what the people talk about. Okay, so we have social media is what they say and what they do, how they find us. Social media analysis. In Facebook, I will check which campaign is more successful. Target ad, keyword ad, display ad. Email promotion, I check the click-through rate, open rate, quick, and all this kind of thing. Web train means I check if they go to our website, how long they stay on certain page, which product they look at, and then maybe I know where they are, who they are if they are our member. And I can check whether they go to our site and then whether they buy something on-site or off-site. So this is something really important to have all the data combined together, including promotion, channel, people, pricing, etc. And some example is there's so many tools in the market that can do all this kind of thing, because I'm not selling or helping this company to promote. So I just want to mention there's so many. Some is for visualization to display the result. Some is actually for analysis. Some is actually for data combination. There's so many tools. It's not difficult to use. In general, basic knowledge help you to do that. And this time, I just mentioned that because we deployed the digital analytics platform. So we actually do some analysis, because there's so many different analysis we can do. So I just point out one simple one. I do an RFM analysis. It's called the recency. How recent they buy the product. Frequency, how frequent they buy the product. Monetary means the dollar value. And then we divide it into several categories just based on the data we have. A really simple example to segment your customer and the product. One example is after we collect the data, we find that there's one kind of customer is belonging to the customer one, or the product belongs to customer one. This kind of product we call the core product. And in general, sell a lot. And you don't need to do promotion. You even don't need to do VIP special discount. The people will buy. Lift price, remember. This is one example we find after we check all the data. Customer 2 is a bit more promotion you need to do than customer 1. We have some product belong to that. That just don't want to list because there's so many products. Customer 3, we find some product is really strongly based on promotion, but they don't plan before. It's an impulse purchase driven by promotion. They buy, the frequency buy. One example is Victoria. So we based on all the data we get from our customer, we can generate the segmentation. And customer 4 is product not purchase frequency, expensive, and planned, not unplanned. The planned purchase is a low ratio of regular sales. Example, gift box, E&F. I just mentioned before for gift giving. So with all the data, you probably can know which kind of product, using what kind of promotion, for which kind of customer, or for what kind of discount, etc., will achieve the best result. So you see data analytics and the CRM give you all the data for you to do the analysis. Of course, when you do data analysis in general, all the tools will help you to combine the data, analyze, share, etc. And there's so many kind of models that help you already. So even though you don't have those kind of technique, Those is more like the plug-in, plug and play, those kind of thing. If you have some marketing people, basic technical know-how, they can do that. So this is about my part of the presentation. So I hope I give a general introduction about CRM to lay out a really good foundation about some basic application and academic model, and one case to let you understand how a traditional company can deploy CRM and digital transformation. And I will pass to second speaker, Joanna, to proceed with her sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel. Very interesting and very much information to take in. Thank you. We learned a lot from this. So since you see, I've switched background from WoTA to HEG. That's my company that I work for. So in the coming 15 minutes, I will try to explain to you all how we work with CRM in our company to earn the customer's loyalty. Harald has promised to help me to share my presentation. So see if it works. Harald, if you can please put up my presentation in the window.
Daniel, can you shut down your presentation, please, so we can get on? There we are. Good.
I'm actually in a very good studio, but we didn't get the technique to work as we had wished for. So I got some help from Norway. So thank you. You can maybe put it in presentation mode.
Yeah, I will.
Seems like you have to bear with the presentation in this format.
I think
Or should we make another effort?
just go down to the lower bottom, lower right corner, and you can see there's a button to press for the full screen. Yes.
So thank you. Thank you for helping out, Daniel. So as I said, I will tell you a little bit about how we work at HEG to earn our customers' loyalty. First, a brief introduction to our history as a company. The timeline that you see shows the major events since our birth. In 1974, HEG was founded to offer a responsible gaming alternative to Swedish horse racing. It was the sport itself that founded the company and has remained so since then. In 2006, HEG launched a new digital platform, HEG.se. With that, our services became available to our customers at any time from everywhere. 9 years later, in 2015, for the first time in the company's history, physical sales was outnumbered by digital sales. From that date on, the digitalization took a speed, and today about 70% of our sales comes from the digital platforms. In 2019, we launched 2 new service areas to our product portfolio. It was sports betting and online casino. Now we're in 2021, and we are loyal to our mission to be the engine of the Swedish horse racing industry. We are firm believers of our vision to deliver the best gaming experience in the world, and that can only be achieved through our customer promise to provide our customers with exciting, responsible, and smooth gaming experiences. So here's a snapshot of HEG today. HEG consists of 3 service areas: horse betting, sports betting, and online casino. Horse betting is by far the largest of them, with about 85% of our total net share. We are present in all over Sweden with over 1,900 physical stores and 1.4 million registered customers. We have a strong position with 22% of the total gaming market in Sweden. That makes HEG the largest betting company in Sweden, roughly 3 times larger than our greatest competitor, Svenska Spel. I also will give you a short overview over our CRM history with some significant events. In 2014, we started to collect opt-in customer data by providing customers with incentives as giveaways or discounts. We asked the customer to register as an ATG member. In this way, we gathered email addresses as well as mobile phone numbers to be able to contact them directly with our CRM channels. In 2015, we started using the campaign tool that we still have, Adobe Campaign, for our CRM operations. This marks the start of a new chapter for us, where tracking and measurements was made possible. In 2016, I joined the company as a head of CRM. At the same time, we also started to implement more sophisticated way of tracking results and to use control groups, which made our campaign performance more visible to a higher degree. With control groups, we are able to measure the true effect of all messages, emails as well as SMSs. In 2017, we started to utilize more structured ways of working with our customers, dividing them up in different segments, as Daniel told you before. Our segments is regarding customer behavior in the first hand. This enables us to work more efficiently with our campaigns. In 2018, we implemented mandatory registration of all our customers. That helped us to gather more data about our customers. From that day, we know who is placing a bet, when, where, and if they won or not. At the same time, we also made mandatory for all customers to register their mobile number, which has been an important step for our SMS channel. In 2019, I moved from being the head of CRM to be the head of marketing. And at this time, we started to integrate all communication channels into one marketing department. And we started to focus on the buying customer instead of the product that we sell. Having both a sportsbook and an online casino in the product portfolio, we needed the CRM also to focus on cross-sell, not only retention. Our CRM operations rests upon a large customer base, which roughly represent the size of 10% of the Swedish population. We have asked all customers for their permission to communicate to them in our CRM channels. And it leaves us with about 1 million customers that has actively chosen to accept our communication. Customers could also choose what channel they'd like to be contacted in. So we have different numbers of customers that we could communicate in different channels. We reach about 49% of our customers by email, 79% by SMS, and with postal campaigns, we reach 96%. But it's a very costly channel, so we don't use it too often. Our marketing and CRM operations consist of a fine balance between ATG's interests and the customer interests. Only when we create a mutual value will ATG be able to secure long-term success. We focus on securing growth by up and cross-sells, in combination with offering a valuable service and a good communication to our customers. This has resulted in a steadily growing customer base with a healthy number of brand ambassadors that stays with us for multiple years. Last year, we saw a growth in customer base of 8%, and we had an NPS score of 15. NPS is the way we measure customer satisfaction by asking them how likely they are to recommend ATG to a friend. 15 means that we have more ambassadors than we have detractors. The average customer lifetime is difficult for us to calculate since we only have had the data for 2.5 years, but we can see that it grows steadily. I will now try to introduce to you our customer journey and tell you how we work with it in the CRM operations. We have divided up all customers into a customer journey, starting from the very first bet and continue to 2 years after the last bet. We handle the customer differently depending on where in the customer journey the customer is, together with a large number of other criteria as segments, frequency, or demography. In the next slide, I will show you how we use the customer journey to decide on which CRM channel to use for different purpose. But first, I will tell you how our customer journey is structured. The very first phase we call recruiting. Here's the aim is to recruit new customers. At this time, we don't know who the customer is, of course. But after the first bet, the customer becomes known to us and enter the onboarding phase. Here we focus on welcoming the customer into HEG's world and to introduce him or her to our sales channels. The goal for this phase is to make the customer place 4 bets in a period of 13 weeks. In the loyalty phase, we focus on cross-selling and retention to keep the customer with us for a long time. In the passive and the churn phase, we focus on reactivate the customer again by placing a new bet. You can stay there, Harald, because that's where I am now. You can go back 1 slide, please. Thank you. The overall purpose of CRM is, of course, to loyalize customers and to maximize value of the existing customer base. This could be achieved by different activities throughout the customer journey. Our CRM channels have different purposes throughout the journey, as they have individual strengths and weaknesses. Email is a perfect channel for us to share information, to build retention and cross-sell and build brand awareness. SMS is driving sales in a very efficient way. We tailor messages to each customer depending on where the customer is in the customer journey. To make it individually relevant, we also use a lot of other criteria. We know that if we succeed to be relevant to the customer, it will give good results also in a monetary sense. Our best occasion is jackpot on the largest trotting product that we have, V75. Then we succeed to activate and reactivate a large number of passive customers that wouldn't have placed any bet if they wouldn't have received the message from us. But we also have more purposes for our CRM communication besides driving sales. We also communicate to prevent customers from developing gambling problems or to spend more money than they can afford. As a gaming company in Sweden, we are obligated by the law to do so, but we also do it since we can see that it creates a long-term healthy relationship with our customers. We communicate with the customers to inform about risks, to get them to set boundaries or limitations for their gambling, or to check on customers with a high-risk behavior. For HEG, it's extra important to secure a long-term sustainable customer relationship, since our mission is to become the industry leader in the area. We would like to be seen as a trusted party. Zooming in on our CRM activities for the past year, we can see that the effort has paid off. The results from the CRM sales in 2020 was 50% higher than it was the year before, mainly driven through SMS, which is the most dominant sales activator. If we look at the number of campaigns throughout the years, we conclude that we have managed to generate 2.4 campaigns every day full year. Horse segments is, of course, the most prioritized segment with almost 600 campaigns full year. Our opening rates for email is significantly higher in the horse segment as it is a mature market for us. We are also proud of an opening rate in almost 40% in average. It tells us that the customers like our communication, that we succeed to be relevant to them. However, we have seen the number increasing also for sports betting and online casino messages in 2021. It tells us that we are on the right track. Here I share with you 3 examples of successful CRM campaigns conducted last year. Note that all of them are SMS campaigns, since I told you before that this is the most sales driving channel that we have. The most important thing next to choosing the right target group is the timing aspect, combined with being relevant to the customer. When we add something new that they didn't already know, we can see good results. As I told you before, we always measure the effect comparing to a control group. In that way, we can be sure that it is the CRM communication that gave effect. None of those examples are on the largest trotting product, V75, but on smaller ones. Hence, the number of recipients are also smaller. The first example, it was a double jackpot on a small product that we have called V74. With this single SMS, we made more than 11,000 customers play that wouldn't have played if they didn't receive the SMS. This means also that receiving an SMS made it 76% more likely to place a bet than if you didn't. This was one of the best campaigns ever and not an everyday occasion. So what makes our CRM and marketing successful here at ATG? I think how we work with the organization depends a lot. We have one marketing organization serving all communication channels. Each campaign is driven by a campaign leader who is coordinating all marketing messages instead of one lead per channel. This enables us to integrate the same message to the same customers throughout the communication channel. We always try to be experimental and to find experimental way of working. It is through this that we make sure that we continue to develop and learn from our mistakes. We always try to do some A/B testing and learn something new from that. Thirdly, our CRM communication is dynamic and targeted throughout the customer journey. In that way, we can stay relevant in messaging regardless of which phase the customer is in. Using the CRM tool to focus on customer health and security enable us to build a long-term sustainable relationship with the customer. We also follow this by specific KPIs. So finally, my last slide. I will try to summarize my presentation to you with some small tips from us to you. Always be relevant to the customer. Relevancy in communication is the key to make sure that the customer will stay engaged and opt in for future campaigns, as well as it drives ROI through up and cross sales. Secondly, try to integrate CRM as a natural part of the total media mix. You enable consistency in the message regardless the marketing channel, and avoid silos and conflicting communication. 3, focus on long-lasting and sustainable relationship with the customers. This is bread and butter for us, and it is a marathon, not a sprint race. Avoid losing your customers due to too high frequencies of campaigns or too aggressive communication. 4, start to collect data about your customers. The more, the better. When you know who you are talking to, it's easier also to be relevant. Remember also to always follow up the results so that you make sure that you stay relevant. 5, don't be afraid to try something new, to try new ways of doing things. Be experimental and learn from each interaction in order to develop your business as well as your relationship with the customers. That was all from me, and I say thank you and good luck with your CRM work. Baptiste and Emmanuel.
Thanks, Joanna.
Thank you, Joanna. I don't know if it's working. Yeah.
Thank you to you.
So thank you, and just a few words, maybe then I will let, of course, Jean-Baptiste talk about CRM, but I just wanted to tell you that I'm really pleased to be with you today. As Joanna was saying it, on top of the marketing activities, I recently took the responsibility of the two core, the two main growth levers of the PMU, which are e-commerce and international BUs. Just maybe a few words on these activities. For the international activity, the objective with Emeric Verlet is, of course, to continue the great development, but maybe with a closer link, I would say, to the marketing and digital teams to be even better in supporting our foreign partners to optimize their offer on French horse racing. That's why Cyril Linet, the CEO, decided to create, I would say, this big department with all the marketing activities, the e-commerce and international activity. Just a few words also on today's situation. We managed to resist actually pretty well to COVID, thanks to, of course, the fast growth of the online activity. I think it's the case for everyone here, but also I think that the recent performance of the PMU shows the success of the strategy. We launched in 2019, consisting on a refocus on our core activity, which is horse racing, of course, but also, as you know, we simplified a lot our offer, the number of races, but also the client experience, which is really key, as Joanna was talking also about it. Our objective now in 2021 is really to recruit new clients, while the first step of our strategy in 2019 and 2020 was really to recreate a link and to focus on delivering a better service to our core clients. I will let, of course, Jean-Baptiste talk about CRM. Jean-Baptiste is the one really leading this activity at PMU, and I just wanted to tell you that I'm really looking forward to be able to see you in person when we will be soon, I hope, be able to travel again. Jean-Baptiste, I'll let you start the presentation.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here and talk about the e-commerce and CRM strategy of PMU. As we all know, the last year was difficult for many companies with the COVID-19 crisis, and PMU was being heavily impacted. So we have adapted our strategy last year. Before to start, let's talk about PMU in few numbers. Excuse me. PMU is the first betting operator in Europe and the third Pari Mutuel company in the world, with 9.5 billion stakes in 2019. We have 90% of sales were made by horse racing betting, and we have 100 partners in 60 countries with 1.1 billion stake abroad in a common pool. We have two distribution network with the first one, the offline distribution. We have 30,200 point of sales and 80% of the stakes, and also the online network distribution. We are the first betting website in France, and we are also sports betting and poker betting. So let's talk about the context in France last year. As you can see, we had several phases last year. At the beginning of the year, we have all of the network and the nominal situation before COVID. And the second phase, we stopped all the French races between March 17 and May 11. We have maintained foreign horses races. And the third phase is between May to June. We have opened a part of the offline network without bar and restaurants. We have, after a light nominal situation, about 2 months with bar and restaurants open, offline with 100%. And the last phase in Q4 without bar and restaurants until today. So we just had last year less than 4 months with a nominal situation with all the offline network. So to summarize the situation, we had last year 2 lockdowns. The points of sale are considerably penalized. French races completely stopped during 2 months, and we maintenance foreign horses races all the year. So we've done an online action plan to make this context a growth opportunity. And we launch e-commerce and CRM strategy in 3 points. First one, increase the number of active online customers and reactivation of abandoned customer. The second one is optimize the recruitment of our offline customers. And the last one, offer an exclusive online animation. So we have 2 types of operations in PMU. The first one is specific operation, and the second one is recursive operations. So with the return of horses French races, we have activated specific promotion for inactive customers, and we have repeated this operation each month with targeted or not. And for the last of the year, we have adapted each operations to increase the revenue of these operations. And also we have launched a anti-churn program based for high value customers and based on anti-churn predictive score for reactivate some churners customer. So we have here an example of the omnichannel operation. We use the Salesforce as a marketing automation tools, and Salesforce is connected with our big data, and we can choose all criteria of the database for realize the marketing campaign for the targeting. So we can, with Salesforce, activate different channels and measure the efficacy of all these channels. And we use emails and push notification or SMS. You have an example of an operation of the recruitment. Excuse me, for the abandoned customer. You have on the left the email. If the customer not opens the email, we can send a push notification. And if the customer not opens the push notification, we can send also an SMS. We can boost the activity with the 3 channels and boost the efficiency of the campaigns. The second objective is to optimize the recruitment of our offline customer. So it's the same principle. We have done 3 types of operations. On May and October, boost sponsorship. On June and at the end of the year, we launch a boost welcome offer. And we also test a cross-sell offer who customers of poker and sports to be activated in the horses activity. And we have launched a closed reactivation of closed account. And on recursive operation, we have a sponsorship program all of the year. And we have increased of 30% of new customers last year. It was very efficient. The last objective of the last year is to offer an exclusive online animation. We have worked on 3 principles. The one, more visibility, 2, be differentiated, and 3, recruit better. More visibility, we have launched Spot TV and digital Spot TV. We have launched media, digital and social media geolocated on big French cities where we have many closure of point of sales. We have launched digital communication of exclusive promotional operations and services of PMU.fr, like a jackpot booster. Be differentiated. The objective is to have on the online website a specific offer and not have the same animation like of the offline network. So we have launched the Epic Morning Letter, is to the access to exclusive content or statistics on the morning for 1 or 2 hours for specific in online activity. We have an intensification of prognosis and creation of a specific online meetings with specific races at the international. And recruit better, we boost the visibility of all the marketing campaigns, launch of a mobile download campaign, the simplification of the landing page, and dedicating customer account opening. So you have here an example of the Christmas calendar. It's an operation of the end of the year. The principle is to animate each day differently around promotion, prognosis, and information or statistics for the customers. And the objective was to increase the activity of the database, the boost of the visit of the website, and the number of new active customers on the website. And next this year, we have some objective to support offline when bars and restaurants will be open in France, maybe in May next month, to continue to develop online activity with a specific and an exclusive offer, improve customer retention, and retain and develop responsible gaming for our large online customers. And also continue recruiting new online customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean-Baptiste, and thank you, Emmanuel. Very interesting to share this with you. I don't see that we have received any questions from you yet, but we have prepared some questions before that people have sent in to us before. So maybe we should start with them. Let's see. It's a lot about COVID-19. And one question is CRM in the time of COVID, can you measure the change of behavior of your customers? Jean-Baptiste, that was your case. You really measured the change of behavior during COVID-19, didn't you?
Yes. So
what do you think about, should it remain like this? Or do you think it's going to go back again as it was before?
So for the measure of the change of behavior of your customers, we have some offline customers who opened in an account on the online website. And after we have done some survey about the new customers, and we know they continue to bet on offline network, and also they adopted a new use on online website. So they increase their values in PMU because they continue to bet on the offline, and also betting on the online website. It's a change of the behavior of our customers.
Thank you. And Baniel, what do you say? Is it a change of behaviors through this pandemic that will stay with us if we go back to the society as we had before? Do you think so?
I think some of the changes maybe more permanent instead of just temporary. Especially a lot of companies, they already moved the data and the system to the cloud. This is the first thing. And the second thing is a lot of them, some of them, they actually want to do this kind of transformation to CRM maybe 3 years or 4 years later. But because of the COVID-19, they actually do the things earlier. Because they have done the things earlier, the migration plan or the development has been pushed forward like 2 to 3 years. So that means even after the COVID-19, this most likely will be the permanent change. And those companies already deploy the system more competitive and able to deal with a really tough situation. When the COVID-19 becomes better, they will be even more powerful than before because they have a better system, more experience gained during this period. But that can be something like temporary, just like Zoom is some example, just like Zoom, okay? We use Zoom now, but soon after the COVID-19, maybe this kind of application may be a little bit reduced, but still will become like the norms in the market. Just for CRM, my perspective is, from my understanding, because I deal with a lot of consultancy service for my customers during these few years. And I find that during the COVID-19, it actually for some companies, they don't deploy. Actually, they'll be left behind a few years later because they don't have the resources during the COVID-19. But for those companies, they can deploy. They actually advance a few years ahead of other competitors and actually can generate much better competitiveness even after the COVID-19. This is something I perceive and I observe during this period, yeah.
Yeah. I can say in Sweden, we could see also that we have a lot of a little bit older customers, and they also have become digitalized during this period, because before the pandemic, they visit our stores and they place the bet there, but now they also do it from home. So we have them in multiple channels. We will try to let this continue because we think it's a good development.
Yeah, totally agree.
We had also some asking about more successful campaigns in CRM matters. What is most important thing if you want to succeed in your CRM campaigns? Daniel, could you help us with that?
I think how to achieve a really successful CRM campaign. To me, I really concerned about the measurement and the evaluation, because for every CRM campaign, we actually have some business objectives. The objectives can be sales or non-sales related. The sales can be something like I want to get customer, I want to increase sales, etc. But sometimes it can be non-sales related, maybe just build a brand image or generate better awareness or all this kind of thing. So I think in order to achieve a successful or effective CRM campaign, I think the really important thing is you know exactly what you want to do during the beginning. What kind of objectives, sales and non-sales, what are the KPI? And you need to set those kind of things in the measurement. So during the campaign or after the campaign, you need to know whether you can measure and how you measure all this kind of thing. So that's always related to the data, whether the data can be connected. If those objectives you set is not related to the data you can connect, or the objectives you set is the data you cannot connect to reflect the objective or to measure the objective, then that will be a big problem. So to me, I think the most important is you know initially what you want to do, and you know exactly whether you can measure, and ultimately you check whether you achieve or you exceed what you want to do. So this is from my experience in general, yeah.
Thank you. Do you have any answer about that also, about Jean-Baptiste? What is the most important thing to be successful in your CRM campaigns?
It depends of the targeted. So for the inactive customers, for example, we use some free bet. We offer some free bet for inactive customers because it's very easy for inactive customers to use a free bet. So it's very efficient. For recruiting new customers, we used some sponsorship offer, and we have launched some boost welcome offer because it's efficient. We can have a lot of new customers, and it's a good promotion. And for the active customers, we have we used a specific operation. We like to make a deposit offer for active customers because it's efficient. We can increase the activity after the offer. We can increase the activity of the customer. It's a good promotion too.
Have you calculated on how many times a customer could use an offer as a free bet, for example, a year? Could the same customer use it several times, or is it only one time a year?
The time of the free bet is for the free bet is 5 or 7 days.
Okay.
So and the customers use generally on 2 or 3 days. They use the free bet. Yeah, it's very efficient.
In Sweden, we're not allowed to have free bets, and we can only have some value-added offers when for the first bet the customer will place, and after that we cannot use it anymore. It's by the law. So, but that sounds interesting. Thank you, Jean-Baptiste. We have one more question also. How do you balance responsible gambling with your attempt to get customers to bet more via CRM? Maybe I should try to start to answer this one, because this is something that lays very close to our heart. We think that if we could be very careful with the customer, we can make them stay with us for a longer time. So when we measure lifetime value, we could see, like, if we push too hard in the beginning, maybe they won't stay as long as they could if we are a little bit gentler. So we always calculate, we always follow up the effects with our communication to be sure that it's a good monetary affair, but also that it's a good relationship affair. That's how we work. Do you use this, Jean-Baptiste, at PMU? Do you use CRM also to communicate responsible gambling messages?
Yes, in PMU we are careful to the commercial pressure. We try to not target the same person several times in 2 or 3 days, and we also work with data team about a score of responsible gaming, and the principle is to identify a risk customer and automatically exclude this customer to the CRM campaigns. And that's all. We try to be careful on the commercial pressure and work on this score about risk customer.
Thank you. Manuel, is it difficult to balance driving sales and building retention in the same channel? Do you think it's difficult, or is it doable?
I think it's doable. Even it's not easy, because if you always want to drive sales, sometimes you may imitate your customer. Yeah, this is one thing. And if you always focus in retention of your customer, but it's not able to stimulate the interest to spend more, that is also not too good. So that's why in general, as I just mentioned before, why for the CRM campaign or the CRM objectives are really important, because we need to make sure that we want to be more sales or non-sales related. Just like you retain your customer, if they retain but they are not spending, that's no meaning, okay? Or if they are spending too much, just like you mentioned during certain period, but then they disappear, the lifetime value is really short. It also doesn't make sense. So that's why for from the CRM perspective, it's always linked to the sales and the marketing strategies. That just like you mentioned, that we need to make sure that what kind of campaign we want to do, whether the campaign is more for retention and whether it's more for sales. And from time to time, we need to check the campaign performance and the effect to the target segments. And based on all those results, we will actually know about whether we are healthy at a certain stage, whether it's a good balance between the retention and for sales. Of course, sales, if we want to do sales to stimulate sales, is always a lot based on the sales promotion or the sales driven event. But for retention, sometimes brand building should be good enough. So that's why I think every time if we be clear about what we do for a certain CRM campaign, at the same time, we know what to measure. And the most important thing is the balance integration. Because when we talk about campaign, it's always sometimes more awareness driven or more sales driven. That means if you integrate the event, just like brand building event is more for awareness, for retention, or social media campaign is a bit between sales and just branding. So you can still manage sales, but at the same time can also build brand. But some kind of sales promotion or rebate, those kind of thing, or cash incentive is better for sales. So you need to balance all these kind of things, integrate them together in a balanced manner to do more like so that's why we need a strategy at the back, the same strategy. We call it integrated strategy. And this is, I think it's doable, but you need some good planning in order to achieve. Yeah.
To know what to do.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. We have a question. I think it's mainly for you, Jean-Baptiste.
Yes.
Is the cashback offer proven effective, and how effective is it for recruiting and new customers and retaining existing ones? I think this is a free bet.
Yeah, it's a free bet. It's not very effective for new customers, but it's effective. It's efficient, for inactive customer. We have tried to make cashback offer on for the inactive customer, and it's also a promotion mechanic who is very efficient. Do
you, as we do, use control groups to separate the effect from, to know what effect the message had itself? Yes. Or the offer, for example? Yeah. Do you send out the same message without the offer and with the offer? Or how do you do that?
Yeah, we always use a test group, especially when it's a new offer we never test, and we use the test group and to measure the efficacy of the offers, and we always use test and learn in all the marketing campaign in PME.
Daniel, do you have any tips for us how better to follow up the effect of the message by using control groups? Or is there any other method that you think is better?
I think control group is a wise method to do that, because if we want to do some kind of the evaluation, the research for for campaign related things, we always have the speed testing. Okay, we do the A/B testing. The A/B testing is really like the control group, just how we do it online. And if we, just like in social media, what we do when we do certain message, or when we use keyword advertising to do something, we always have the version A and the version B, and then see the response. Let's say, for example, if I do a keyword ad on Google about certain kind of maybe betting event, I want to see the quick full way. I will always try to see whether this wording is more effective or that wording is more effective. And also I want to see the timing, whether this timing I put the ad out and whether that timing I put the ad out is more effective. And also when they click in, I will also check the mechanism, what they do in the site, which they browse for, which page they browse for, what information they search, how long they stay there. These are all the information I look at. So it's not purely look at the message, but I actually also look at the response and the behavior, what they do. So this is really similar to social media marketing. That means if I have a Facebook or those kind of social media posts, I will also look at the post content, whether A or B version is better. If I think A generate better result than B, then I will generate a C, and then C compared to A to see whether C is better than A. So I will keep on changing. The good thing of online is you can keep on changing the thing from time to time really quickly without the need, like offline, you need a lot of process and procedure. That means I can do several changes to see which one is the best. In terms of the reel, in terms of the quick full way, in terms of the comment, in terms of what they do after they click into on my site or some link. Okay, so this is how I do in general. So that's why I think the control group and the A/B testing, this kind of thing of digital, the good thing is no matter for social media, for keyword ad, or for general kind of promotion, as long as you can trace those data, you're able to connect the data. There's a lot of real-time indication that you can improve it real-time instead of to waste like 1 or 2 days or even 1 week that we do it traditionally offline. So this is something I think is quite important. Yeah.
Thank you. We have one more question for you, Jean-Baptiste. In PMU, which channel has the highest priority, online or offline? Are the objectives of offline and online the same?
Yes. No, the highest priority is offline because we have a very big network in France with 30,200 point of sales, and this point of sales represent 80% of the turnover of PMU. It's the principal priority for PMU, and the online is more a complementary activity for customers, and we want to offer a specific animation in the online, and not to have the same things on the online and the offline. It's more the online is more an activity complementary.
Okay, thank you. And we have a question for HEG as well. Concerning churn, you say that you're using events and branding to try to reactivate your customers. Could you be more precise? Yes, since we have all our customers registered, we can actually reach them in our CRM channels by sending an SMS or an email. SMS is a very private channel, so we don't often use that if we don't know that the customer would like to have the SMS from us. But email, it's a little bit more distance, so we can be more generous with our emails than we are with the SMSs. So actually when we have large jackpots, we use the occasion to contact those customers to just tell them actually about the jackpot sum. It's often the only thing we need. And we can activate up until like the best campaign we had, I think we reactivated about 20-25% of passive customers in one message. So we also follow up those very, very nearly so that we not talking to the same customer too often. So if they would like not to place a bet, we won't talk to them every week or even every month. We do it like occasionally, a few times a year. And the other question is also for us at HEG, how we measure NPS. And we work with a company that helps us with this. So we actually measure NPS in different occasions. We do it after they've been placing a bet, or after they have won, or after they have like not won. So we know what different experiences make to the NPS score. But we also measure 1/12 of the customer base every month. So we know like how they like us, like ongoing. It's difficult to explain, but we do it steadily. So we pop the question even though they have been placing a bet or not every month. So that's like we could see how it develops during the time. So I don't see that we have any more questions actually. So I think I will say thank you to you all. I think Emmanuel has left, but Jean-Baptiste, thank you very much for sharing all this information with us.
Thank you.
And Daniel also, thank you very, very much for sharing your information with us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to share with all of you.
And remember that you will get a message with a SurveyMonkey link that you can still pop your questions if you have any after this event, and we will do our best to answer them for you. And this recorded webinar will also be available in a few days. And you will get all our presentations sent to you or available in some other sense. I don't know if you get the link or if you get the presentation sent to you, but Florence will give you that after this occasion. So with that, I say thank you very much for listening to us for 1.5 hours. I enjoyed it very much to be here to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.